Hello, my name is Sandra Robinson. I'm an Army combat veteran. My military story starts with me going to the Army Reserve back in 1986 while I was in high school. Being in high school and joining the Army Reserve was a major step in my life. A time that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew joining the Army was very important to me having options in case my plan A took a turn for the worse. I went to basic training in AIT after I graduated from high school and then went to college. I went to college in 1987 at East Carolina University. I wanted to become a nurse, and that is where my military story begins to really start. 1 weekend a month, I would go to weekend drills as a truck driver. My MOS was 88 Mike. Driving trucks is not something I really wanted to do, but back then there was only 2 MOSs available. It was either driving trucks or become a cook. And I had no desire to be a cook at that time. So driving trucks is what I was gonna do. So 1 weekend a month, I drove these tractor trailers and I went to college. One November morning in 1990, about 0400 hours, I received a call saying, "We have a roaring bull. You are to report to Salisbury at 0700 hours." A roaring bull was the last thing I wanted to hear. A roaring bull meant that we were going to war. That was the code that we were going to war. I knew there was a conflict about to start, but never in a million years did I ever believe I, nursing student Sandra, will be going to war. I reported to Salisbury, and my life began to change. My unit, 846 Transportation, had hundreds of men and only a few females. As we traveled to Saudi Arabia and we arrived, we never really got to see the other females. Part of it was because they said that we was not strong enough. We were not brave enough. So they kept us separate. I rode in the vehicle with another man, like most of the other women. And during my time in Saudi Arabia, I learned a lot about praying. I learned that I had to decide it's either going to be me or them. Them meaning the people that we were there to protect, or them meaning the country that we were there to serve. When the war was finally over, we started hearing rumors about people being killed when they returned home. Some was due to domestic issues, and others were due to PTSD. We also started hearing rumors that America was mad at us because of the war. I was scared to go home. As we all know how America treated the Vietnam veterans upon their return, I was scared that we would receive the same type of hate as we got off the plane. I was so amazed. It was thousands of people there. My family was there. They did not forget about us. They welcomed us. Back then in 1991, there was no transition programs. There was no programs to help us deal with what we had been through. I immediately returned to college at East Carolina University. I was the first East Carolina nursing student to be called to war. They helped me, the professors helped me. They took their time to make sure I caught up in all my classes. The very next year, I graduated as a nurse in 1992. I have loved my time as a nurse. I've worked at various hospitals in the community, and I also worked at the VA. Even though I was a combat veteran and I have been in a combat zone, I never really shared my military experiences. I endured trauma and sexual harassment, but never felt comfortable sharing my story. Because I didn't dodge a bullet, shoot anyone, and I had my arms and legs, I've always been made to feel like I did not serve my country. It wasn't until I started working at the VA that I began to share my story with other women and men from the most recent global wars. As I began to share my story with women from the OEF, OIF, and OND that was returning from combat, they began to thank me for my service. They began to thank me for paving the way for other women to serve. I would tell a young woman who's considering to join the military now to understand the possibility of going to combat. At the time that I joined the military, the last known war was Vietnam. We had no expectations of going to war. We didn't. That was not even anything that was really a conversation. You know, you join the military, you practice war, but we're not going to war. That is so far from the truth at this time. Being part of Operation Desert Storm, I was part of the largest deployment of women to war. This was history, but I never felt comfortable sharing it. Being at the VA changed my life. It made me very happy, but very depressed at the same time. When you have been exposed to trauma and you don't receive help and you don't process it, it does not go away. It can make things worse. It can lead to other issues, other mental health issues like anxiety, depression. It can lead to medical issues like heart disease. These are some of the things that a lot of veterans suffer with because they have chosen to hide their story. Working at the VA, I understood the importance of sharing my story. I was able to learn about the resources that the VA has for veterans, female veterans like myself. I never even realized that the VA serviced people like me, women. It's always been known to be a male-only hospital, but that is so far from the truth. The VA have gender-specific services. I had a grapefruit-sized bald spot in my head. I was losing my hair. The VA provided me with treatment that grew my hair back. I'm so thankful I'm able to share and learn about these resources. However, I really needed them 21 years ago, more so like 25 years ago. I didn't even know I had benefits. Coming back from war at age 21, I needed these resources. Just a few years later, I also lost my first husband in a tragic car accident that killed 3 other people. I really needed these resources. I began to see the dead bodies in the Gulf, I began to have intense flashbacks. I did not know what to do. I was in a lot of pain, a lot of emotional pain. I am so thankful for my time at the VA. I want to make sure that no woman returning from war has to fight this war at home alone. My name is Sandra Robinson, and this is my story.